Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 9 of our championship predictions. Now, quickly to cover how we did last week. Liam, how did you do last week in
Not
terms of
good.
points?
Again, 4 points for Tuesday and Wednesday.
For me, I got 7. I got one bang on prediction, and that was Bristol City v Ipswich. So thank you both for that. I get an, an extra 3 points over Liam. But now, let's get started with this week, shall we? So let's start with Wrexham versus Birmingham. Last week, Wrexham drew 1-1 to Leicester and Birmingham drew 2-2 to Sheffield Wednesday. Birmingham getting a last-minute equaliser to prevent losing at St Andrews for the first time in over a year, I'm pretty sure. Now we head uh, to the racecourse ground, or how you say it, Stock Kai Raz, as Wrexham face Birmingham. Now this is the battle of the American owners, and I think it'll be a stalemate here. I'm going for a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, in League One, Birmingham won 4 points out of a possible six against Wrexham, um, who have scored in every home game they've played so far. Um, that'll continue, and so will the trend of us having at least one exact same prediction 1-1.
Off to a great start then. Do you want to take the floor for Blackburn versus Stoke?
It's not looking good for Blackburn, and it's not looked too shabby for either side in the history of this fixture. Only one draw in 9 games between these two, and that was back in 2021. But I think Big Val will be put under extreme pressure going into the October break, and I've gone for 1-3.
So last week, Stoke got a decent point away to Middlesbrough, and they're not quite falling away yet. They're still keeping up some good form. Blackburn last week lost 2-1 at home to Swansea, and it's not looking very good for Blackburn right now. Um, have failed to kick on since they lost their 1-0 lead over Ipswich. And I just think that's going to haunt them even more here. I think I'm going to agree with Liam, a Stoke win, but I'm going to go 2-1. So now let's talk about Hull Sheffield United. So Hull last week drew 2-2 to Preston, and Sheffield United lost 2-1 at home to Southampton, and yet another loss for Sheffield United. They need to kick on soon if they want to have any chance of the top six. Against the Hull side, who definitely have some goals in them this season. I, I think this one. I don't think they'll win this one either. Sheffield United. I'm going for a 1-1.
Um, so the Blades have won in each of the last 4 visits to Hull, and I really think that could be flipped. I really, really feel Hull can do something here and pull off maybe a little bit of a shock, I suppose, on paper. But unfortunately, I have written down 1-1.
Ha. So yeah, I promise we're not looking at each other's scores or predictions, I should say. Um, so I believe you take the floor for Sheffield Wednesday Coventry, Liam.
So Coventry scored 4 away at Millwall, and you'd expect they score even more away at Sheffield Wednesday. But I'm playing it a little bit safe here. I've gone for a 2-1 away win.
So last week, Sheffield Wednesday drew 2-2 against Birmingham, a decent point at St Andrews, and Coventry, wow, 4-0 away at Millwall. 22 goals in 8 games for Coventry. Looking very good so far. And does Sheffield Wednesday have the capability to stop them? I don't think so. I think the Coventry train is well and truly underway, and I don't see it stopping here. I'm going for a 3-1 away win here for Coventry. Now, let's move on to Bristol City versus QPR. So, Bristol City last week was on the back of a 1-1 draw to Ipswich. I know that because I've got 3 points from it. And QPR drew 0-0 at home to Oxford. So, I think looking at this one, I think it's hard not to look past Bristol City here. I think I'm going to go for a 3-1 home win.
Bristol City, I'm so sorry I ever doubted you in midweek. Let me make that up to you. Not because I feel sorry for what I said, but because I feel like QPR are just going to go on a little bit of a downward spiral this weekend. I've gone 3-0 to the Robins.
So, I believe you take the floor for Derby versus Southampton.
So the last time these two met, it was well twice in 2019. They were both 2-2 draws, and I don't think it'll be far off that here either. It could be a 2-1 either way, but whichever side, if there is a side that will lose, whichever side does fall to defeat, I think the international break will come at a really good time to in an attempt to ease pressure off of their managers. Eustace and Still, you can't really say either are doing a good job right now. So I'm going to give the ever so slight edge to Derby, and I'm going for 2-1.
So last week, Derby County was on the receiving end of a 1-1 draw at home to Charlton. Southampton, victors against Sheffield Wednesday at Bramall Lane. So Southampton definitely have some motivation going into this one. On paper, you would probably argue a Southampton win, but I disagree. I think I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. So, now moving on to Millwall versus West Brom. Millwall, off the back of a 4-0 defeat. That stings for them. A home defeat as well. West Brom, off the back of an away win. And guess what? Millwall are at home, West Brom are away. So, will Millwall get back on track at home here? I don't know. I just think West Brom are too tidy of a side. And I'm going to go with an away win here. I'm going to go with Millwall 1, West Brom 2.
So Millwall are just awful at home right now, and this is the rare occasion where I confidently back West Brom because I still don't think their I still think their league position is quite flattering to them. But knowing my luck, I will back West Brom here, and they'll lose to Millwall. But I've gone 2-0 away win.
Excellent. So, do you want to get started with Portsmouth versus Middlesbrough?
I don't have all too much to say about this one because they're both very much in the opposite state right now. Borough are right up there looking at preventing a fall off, and Portsmouth are further down looking at preventing slipping down. But I mean, both sides heading down a couple of places in the table looks likely at the moment, but I worry for Middlesbrough in the future. But for this game, I don't worry for them so much. I've gone 3-1 away win.
So, Middlesbrough off the back of a 0-0 draw at home to Stoke. Portsmouth off the back of a 2-2 home draw to Watford. Portsmouth so far has been quite underwhelming at home. Definitely not as many points as they should get compared to last season. Middlesbrough, they're top of the league, so it's hard to not see past Middlesbrough here. I'm going for a 2-1 away win. So I'll take the floor for Preston versus Charlton. Preston, off the back of a 2-2 away draw to Hull, but they were 2-0 up. So dropping points in a from a good position was quite poor from a Preston perspective. Charlton were also winning at Derby. They also ended up dropping points. So both may feel a bit disappointed going into this one. But we're at Deepdale, where Preston, I believe, haven't lost yet. And do I believe this continues? Yes. I think I'm going to go for a comfortable Preston win. Preston 2, Charlton 0.
Well, for the second successive round, and I apologise to Charlton, I'm going to have to go 0-0. It's one of those. It's at Deepdale, and it's Preston, and they're against the Charlton side, who are managed by Nathan Jones. For me, it just, something about it tells me 0-0.
So, do you want to take the floor for Swansea Leicester?
Um, Again, another difficult one, because both sides are in relatively similar positions in the table. Again, not like it matters. We're still in single digits for games played. But I think Swansea leapfrog Leicester this weekend. I've gone 2-0.
Swansea off the back of a 2-1 away win at Ewood Park. Leicester off the back of a 1-1 draw at home to Wrexham. So, pretty underwhelming from a Leicester standpoint. Personally, I think this one will be a draw. I think Swansea is certainly capable of winning this, but on paper, you'd probably think Leicester would win this. I think I'm going to meet in the middle here and go for a 1-1 draw. So now, Watford versus Oxford, something that I'll take the floor on. Watford, last week, off the back of a 2-2 away draw at Portsmouth. An alright result, but they need to get a win in their locker soon. Oxford, off the back of a 0-0 away draw at QPR. And they are out of the bottom three. And I can't lie, I think the trend of both teams drawing will continue here. I'm going for a 1-1 draw.
So, my issue with Watford for this weekend is if they play anything like they did in the first half at Fratton Park, they are not going to win this game. And I can say I can say roughly the same for a lot of sides, for how they've performed specifically in the first half. But it's a very out of touch Oxford side right now, and I think they'll be a little bit relieved when they come back from the international break. They'll be at home, but they will probably have to prepare for that home game after a 3-1 defeat.
Ooh. So, do you want to take the floor for Ipswich versus Norwich? The East Anglia derby.
So we all know the history between the two, the results that have particularly not gone Ipswich's way. But Norwich have not had a lot of results go their way this season, and I'm thinking for the first time since 2009, Sunday this weekend will be the first day since that year Ipswich defeat their rivals, who are very much lacklustre at the moment. And I think Norwich's poor form will really, really show. I've gone for a very risky 3-0 Ipswich win.
I think both sides probably below expectations so far this season, and both feel they need to change it soon. On paper, you'd probably say Ipswich is the better side, but Norwich certainly have a capability to do their neighbours in East Anglia. So it's a tough one, this, but this is at Portman Road, and I think I'm going to go for 2-1 home win here. I think it'd be close. I don't think it'll be 3-0, but I think it'll be an Ipswich win. So now shall we move on to score of the week? Who do you have as your score of the week?
So, as per every week I go, with the logic of which team have scored the most or a big amount of goals. And I've gone for a good few sides to score, more than two. I've also gone for a good few to score two as well. So I had a lot to choose from. I chose from one of the half-12 kickoffs. I chose from the away side at Ewood Park. That would be Stoke City, and I've gone for Stoke City's Sorba Thomas.
Pretty good pick actually. He's in some good form. For me personally, I think it's hard not to choose a Coventry player at the moment. And this weekend, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to follow the trend. Uh, and I've picked the current top scorer of the championship, and that is Haji Wright. So I believe that covers everything. So we shall see you for number 10 of our predictions. Until then, it's a goodbye from me.
See you later, and have a nice international break if you can.
Exactly. We'll be back after the international break.